Hi guys, so today's video is going to be a little debrief of how I found my second year, my end of year results, that kind of thing. So let's get into it. So before I start talking about uni, I want to address the elephant in the room. Yes, I've dyed my hair red. Please ignore the state of my hairline. I need to wash my hair again, but I'm not going to do that yet. I don't want to damage it, and also I don't want to have to re-straighten it. So for now, you're just going to have to deal with the funky red patches all over my hairline. But yeah, now onto the video. So if you see me looking off to the side, that's because I'm looking at my laptop, as I've got some things on here that I want to talk about. So I thought it would be a good idea to go through my marks first and then talk about my kind of experience with this year. For my essays, I had a research methods module that had 3 different components to the summative work. So I got 58, 58, and 65 on those. One of my criminology core modules I got 62 in, one of my sociology modules I got 65 in, and my chosen module, which was madness and society, I got 65 in. So overall I got 2 2s and 4 2-1s in my essays. And then I would go through my exams, but I don't know the exact number, but from what I worked out with my overall grade and my summative essay stuff, I worked out that I got a first in my research methods, a 2-1 in my criminology module, a first in my sociology module, and a 2-1 in my second chosen module, which was about family. It was a sociology one. I can't remember the actual title. And then overall, I got 68 in my research methods, which is a 2-1, 60 in my criminology one, I don't know what it's called, which is a 2-1, and then my sociology, I think it was sociology of contemporary society, I think that's what the module was called, I got 71. So I got my first ever first as an overall grade, which I was really shocked about. And for madness and society, I got 65 because the summative essay I did in first term was actually also the overall grade. And then for the family chosen module, I got 64, which is a 2-1, which I'm really happy with these grades. They're a lot better than last year's. So now I want to talk about my whole experience of second year, educationally or also socially kind of thing. So talking about the social aspect, I lived in a house this year with some of my friends, which was very different to what I was doing last year. Obviously I was in accommodation, and there's both positives and negatives. So I'd say positives is it's a lot more social, because in accommodation you have your room and you have the kitchen, and I obviously was spending time in the kitchen with my flatmates and stuff, but that's not necessarily always the experience, especially if you don't get on with your flat or you don't know any of them, you don't really talk, whatever. But in a house, obviously you bump into each other, go into the kitchen, sitting in the sitting room, you see each other a lot more and you talk, and I like that kind of more social aspect. I feel accommodation can be quite isolating depending on how well you get on with the rest of the people that live there. I would also say negatives wise, mainly bills. I ran out of my student loan so often because it was just so expensive. First of all, the rent. So my rent came out as slightly cheaper than what I was paying like a month technically, but obviously I was paying by term in accommodation. However, I was only in accommodation while I was at uni, so September to June. So in the grand scheme of things, I'm actually paying so much money now because obviously I have to pay during the holidays, and because of how student loan works, it comes out every term, whereas you have to pay the first of each month with the rent. So during the holidays, and especially during summer now, I can talk about this, I have to pay 3 months worth of rent with basically no student loan. So, because obviously I'm paying bills as well, which is about 50 quid, give or take, food, transport if I'm going anywhere, etc. Like buying stuff that I want to buy because, you know, I'm going to treat myself, obviously. It adds up really quickly, and I've really struggled, especially as my loan went down this year, but it's going to go back up next year, thank the Lord. So I would say, if you're someone who tends to get a smaller amount of loan and you don't have your parents' support, because obviously the loan's based off on their household income and maybe they can't support you or they don't support you, I would maybe consider either living with a lot of people so your rent's cheaper, or maybe looking at accommodation for second year if they offer it for you. But overall, talking about like housing and stuff, I would say my experience this year is better than last year, only because I got to choose like who I lived with, so I knew like them already, and it wasn't like deer in headlight situation meeting all these new people. So that's what I would say. But also, I think we got really lucky with the fact that we were all still like good with each other, because the housing situation starts really early on. So you start looking for houses really early on because that's what everyone does, which you shouldn't do, but because everyone else is doing it, you'll end up not getting a good house, and you might not be friends with the people that you like sign a contract with. So we're really lucky that that didn't happen, but that is something to think about. I feel like I rambled on for a while about that, and maybe none of that was like relevant or helpful, but so I want to talk about like academics now, because obviously that is a big part of uni. And I will say second year is a real kick in the butt compared to first year. It's a lot more work. Like, as I said with my grades, one of my modules had 3 separate essays that were all going towards the grade. Sorry, that was my cat. He's staring at me. So I had to do a 300-word reflection piece, 2 like big 2,500, I think, word reports, and then an in-person exam on top of it. So it's a lot of work. That's just for one module, and that was across both terms. And then on top of that, having 2 chosen modules, which you basically complete 1 term each. So it's a lot of work in a short space of time. And the word counts for reports get higher, for essays, get higher as well. So I would, and also because it counts to your 3rd year as well, I don't know the exact percentage, but I think it's like 20% or something of your 2nd year grade overall accounts for your final grade. So it's a lot of work, a lot of stress, and you really have to like buckle down and like get into university mode instead of uni mode. So I didn't go out like clubbing that much, except end of 2nd term sort of time. But I'd done like most of my essays at that point, and it was just really the exams. So that works for me. But some courses, like science courses, I don't think you have free time. Like one of my friends does physics, and she's always working. So I would say it's definitely less about going out during 2nd year. I mean, if you can find time to like do that and relax, that's always good. You don't want to be working 24/7, but it's very serious when it comes to 2nd year. Having said that though, I did miles better in like my end of year grades, my exams, my essays in general than I did last year, even though like I felt like I was trying harder, because obviously you don't want to fail first year, and by second year you kind of get the gist of how to write essays and all that kind of thing and how it all works. But I did a lot better than I thought, even though I was struggling a lot mentally this year. I had an attendance warning actually in October because I didn't go in for like a while because I got like really mentally ill. And my thing is, as long as I'm keeping up with work, and this is what I said to my uni, I'm keeping up with work, all my lectures are caught up. If I don't go, I try and do the seminar work, I try and do the readings where I can. All my like essays are handed in on time or with an extension, and I'm getting good grades. So if I'm not going in for my mental health, is it really that big of a deal? No. I will say, don't do that. Like, try and go in if you can, but also put your mental health first. And I was really struggling to get up and come in. So, yeah. I mean, I'm really impressed that I managed to get a first in a module, because obviously that, as I said, that goes towards your final grade. So it's really putting me in a good position. Obviously, I'm going to work really hard next year and make sure that I do get those really good grades. But for me, seeing that, it makes me like feel really validated that I could get like a 2-1 overall, which is the goal. Obviously a first would be lovely, but I don't think it's realistic for me, but we'll see. So before this video gets too long, I just want to say a couple of things about what I would like to achieve next year in uni. So first of all, I would like to try and get a better work ethic, because I leave things to the last minute still. Like, I feel like I haven't learned from first year, where I was like staying up until ridiculous hours trying to finish an essay with an extension as well. Like the night before at like 4 a.m, still writing. And I need to not do that, because it's just, if I started earlier, like you get about a month to do these essays and they're not crazy word counts. So if I just started on them little by little, it would put me in a better place. So I definitely want to do that. Also, with my dissertation, I did an EPQ at sixth form and I completely messed that up in terms of like timings and all that kind of thing again. So I would like to try and keep on track with it, make sure I'm starting it early enough and I'm actually like consistently working on it, because I'd like to do well in that. And how I did in my reports for my research methods, I did like decent, so I think I could do like quite well in my actual dissertation. I also just want to enjoy it, because I struggled too this year because of, ow, sorry, my cat scratched me, because I was not doing great with my mental health. So I really want to try and enjoy my last year before I have to like go into work or do a master's, depending on what I decide to do. So that is the end of today's video. It was kind of turning into a what I wish I knew for second year kind of video, but I guess that's helpful, talking about your experience for anyone who's going into second year or even starting uni this year, just getting a head start, knowing what you can expect and what it's kind of like, because it is very different to first year, like in many aspects. So yeah, hopefully some of this is helpful, and let me know if you have any other like advice for people who are starting second year, or if you're in third year and you've just finished, if you have any advice for me, that'd be much appreciated. But yeah, if you have enjoyed, make sure to like, comment any video suggestions and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.